Some super thanks to begin today's Cowboys Report from Michael Diaz. Says, thanks. Just sub because I've been watching all summer, and you've truly been grinding out the content during these dog days for us rabid fans. Keep up the good work. I appreciate that, Michael. The salute emoji didn't translate, but I still appreciate it. Thank you very much for the super thanks, my friend. And if you enjoyed the Cowboys Report, because we still got multiple videos every single day, even though there's not much going on, we'll find things to talk about. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Marcus Arnold, who put this as a super thanks and also as a super chat, by the way, did not like my disrespect of Stephon Gilmore. I didn't mean to be disrespectful to Stephon Gilmore, so my apologies if it came off that way, which it did at least for Marcus, and I'm sure others out there too. My point was Gilmore's not the player he was in his prime. I think that is a factor in why he's unsigned into this point late June. I think he should be signed. I would happily bring him back, but for whatever reason, the market has not been as good. He's not the same defensive player of the year guy he was at his best. He has lost a step. I think he's still a starting caliber corner, so I would be down to bring him back. Skeptical fan, as part of our Cowboys legend conversation, mentions Chaz Green. I don't know if we can put Chaz Green in the Cowboys legend conversation. We'll be doing that this June and July and building out a full-on Ring of Honor for the Cowboys. Maybe we'll try to match the positions. Maybe that's the path we'll go to keep it entertaining. He spent a long time in the NFL, by the way. He made it several years after the Adrian Claiborne massacre game, which still gives me nightmares. So you should know the drill. Help us build out the nominee list for the Cowboys legends. Not a good player, but a player who played for the Cowboys, probably wasn't very good. Thus, by definition, is a Cowboys legend. Troy Aikman, not a Cowboys legend. Clint Stoner is a Cowboys legend. So go vote at the pinned comment for me. Drop that name on today's show. A $10 super chat from Brian Parson. Hey, Tom, between Dak, Micah, and Lamb, if you had to sacrifice one for cap reasons, who would you pick? In my opinion, since we can't trade Dak, Micah would get us the greatest return. Depends for a little bit on what your goal is. Is it just cap savings, in which case, well, Dak's going to cost the most. If it is more along the lines of you're trying to maximize your return back, in addition to cap savings, I think it's pretty clearly Micah Parsons then. I would simply pay CeeDee Lamb. I have little concerns about doing that. And then if it's about getting the most return back trade-wise, then I do think Micah makes the most sense. From Peter Orsak, hey Tom, what's GM Tom's next big move? I would simply pay CeeDee Lamb. Not that hard, actually. I'd pick up the phone and go, hey, what are you looking for? Okay, well, what if we do this? And I would get that deal done before training camp. Now, in theory, I'm the new GM, and it would benefit the preconceived notions of how the old regime did things wouldn't be available there anymore. So I would pay CeeDee Lamb first and foremost. From Tristan Not Hill, that's funny. Maybe he's a Cowboys legend. Are you feeling good about Mazi Smith? No, I'm not. I don't know how we can. I mean, we saw the photos of him at OTA's minicamp, right? He ain't 320. Hey, he's pushing 300 maybe. Like, he looks good with the way he's carrying his weight, but he needs to look fat. This isn't like normal body standard stuff. We're talking about defensive tackle nose guards. I need my first-round pick to contribute this year. He's coming off the shoulder injury. It's a new defense. Didn't go well last year. He has to show up and make an impact this year. Or at least show promise of making an impact this year. So I am worried about Mazi Smith because the honeymoon's already over. It's been 1 year. Honeymoon's done. It's kind of put up or shut up time, or it's going to get real dicey next year. So are you worried about Mazi Smith? Y for yes, N for no in the comments section. Unitive, are these UFL signings what going quote-unquote all in looks like? Yeah. This team isn't all in. Like I think that's the real message. That like they keep making jokes about it, and it honestly, Like when they get up there, they will say all in again at the training camp press conference. I promise, and I'm going to be pissed about it because they're just trying to gaslight us. They're not all in. They're all in on not doing anything. Like UFL signings are fine. I have no issues adding Garyon Conley, Willie Harvey. Maybe those guys carve out the back end of your roster role. But it's the other spots that you have to do stuff in. The draft was fine, maybe even good. Some players I really like. To not do anything in free agency when the entire organization basically is on a one-year deal, that's not all in. It's just not. Brian Perry, will Dallas sign Randall Cobb? I hope not. I think he's cooked. We broke that down on a previous video. It's on a short available too on the Instagram page. He's not good anymore. He's had one good year in his last 8. Give Jalen Tolbert, Brooks, Flournoy a chance instead. From Tyler, if you could redraft the 2023 draft, who would you pick after knowing how they played so far? Let me pull up the order here of who went where. And I'll pull up my board too, because I was trying to think who I had higher on my board than Mazi Smith. That's right. This is a no-brainer. I had a top 8 player on my board when the Cowboys were making their pick. It was Brian Branch. I didn't think they were going to, but I'd have loved Brian Branch there. I think that would have been an awesome pick. He brings this. He would have been your nickel safety hybrid. Would have been a really good impact piece. So that's the guy I wanted because I was super high on him. I didn't think it was very realistic, but I think that would have been a really nice selection. I also would have enjoyed Joey Porter Jr. Now, you got Deron Bland, so probably ended up being fine, but Brian Branch was pretty high on the board. Now, we will have more Cowboys YouTube videos for you every single day, even the dog days of summer. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/CowboysTV. From Dust Pack, we've got a little mock draft here. Evan Stewart, that is the wide receiver who has now transferred over to Oregon from Texas A&M. Upside piece, I'm intrigued by it. Thor Griffin is the Harvard defensive tackle who transferred to Louisville. I'm very curious how he plays. It's a good name to monitor. Donovan Edwards, the Michigan running back in the 3rd. I'm down with that one. You're getting impact pieces. Jay Higgins is the other Iowa. No, he's a linebacker for Iowa, I think. Pretty sure he's a linebacker. Yeah, he's a linebacker for Iowa. Or cornerback in round 5. That's why I almost said corner there. Higgins, a little bit more mass for him, I think would be nice. Steve Linton is the Texas Tech edge, I think. Way too early Cowboys 2025 mock draft. I appreciate that, Dust. You are a fellow sicko, and I appreciate it. Nate Dennison, does Cooper Beebe start at center? Maybe. Wouldn't surprise. I hope so. I know that the coaching staff, specifically the offensive line coach, loves Brock Hoffman, but this team, as an organizational goal, they want Cooper Beebe to be the guy. We'll see if that happens week 1 or not, but I would say there's a good chance of it. Jeff Smith, did the old Jerry would trade for Brandon Aiyuk? Old Jerry would have paid Lamb already. Old Jerry would have not traded away Amari Cooper because they were mad. They will never admit it. They were mad that he wasn't vaxxed. They I don't think they can publicly admit that either, but they were not happy about it because he missed a couple games as part of that. Stunk. But they let it get personal when it wasn't going to be an issue after that. That was their mistake. They're not trading for Brandon Aiyuk because they're not going to pay 2 receivers, $60 million combined. Now, you probably might be coming up with some more realistic names than Brandon. Not that was the point of last one, but still. Name a player you want the Cowboys to trade for. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Food review. If Jerry was to go the J.J. Redick route next year, what decisions would be the most and least comfortable with? Different question. The least, probably Jason Witten. Because Witten hasn't coached above high school. And I feel like there's a chance that happens still. Which I think would be really dumb because it'd be like the Jeff Saturday hire, which was terrible for Indy. It was stupid. There's so much that goes into the differences between coaching high school kids and coaching NFL players and maximizing those guys. Like, yeah, Witten was a good leader, cool. And, he knows football. Those are like the bare minimum requirements. It's like if you're applying for a job and it says you have to have a college degree, and the main thing you push for is a college degree. I graduated from SMU. Cool. We also asked for 5 years of on-job experience. You have 0. Why'd you apply? Well, because I went to school. No. That's the minimum. That's the baseline, not the main reason you hire somebody. Best one. I don't know. Oh, I guess if they're going that route, wouldn't Kellen Moore be closest to being at that point? Former player. I don't know if that's a good idea. Probably wouldn't be. But I would feel like Kellen is probably the closest there. Or you steal Dan Campbell somehow. That's my concern, is that Jerry thinks, I can get my own Dan Campbell and Jason Witten. They're not similar personalities at all. Brokov, what's the top 2025 Dak destination? The nightmare is the New York Giants. That's where I don't want that. Because they will never beat him. It's just never, they won't do it. The nightmare is the Giants suck. They fire Dable. They hire Bill Belichick, and he brings along Dak Prescott with him. That doesn't sound fun to me. It's also like bizarro world Cowboys in the process. Beyond that, I think the Raiders don't have a quarterback. They stand out. A team like Tennessee could be in bad shape. If the Dolphins don't sign Tua, if they were going to pay Tua 50, why not pay Dak 60? At that point, you can just backload it and be fine and go try to win now like the Rams did with Stafford. Tennessee, if Will Levis ends up being bad, if Rodgers retires, actually kind of a sneaky destination. There will be several teams that have interest depending on how their quarterbacks play. Marcus, the Cowboys need to sign Dak to a contract similar to what Mahomes got. On that front, it's just not going to happen. The Mahomes deal, frankly, was a bad deal by his agent and never should have been signed. That's why they already tore it up once. And they gave him the kind of different 3-year deal. It's kind of a mess of a contract. It's just, I don't think it's feasible for anybody involved. And even with the rolling guarantee structure, maybe at Dak's age, it's not something you want anyway. He's okay with them not bringing back Stephon Gilmore, too. I'm fine letting the young guys go. I'm not going to be mad if he signs elsewhere. I would be happy if he did sign, though. Let the young guys cook. Turpin and Brooks will be important this year, especially on returns. Turpin's going to play a pretty darn big role. My DMs on Twitter, X, thanks Elon, are still flooded by in bio. The newest one is, my sister saw your profile. Click this totally not sketchy link and DM her. Please get those out of my mentions. DM me Cowboys questions instead at WhatGoingDowney.